Panel discussion right now. We have Louisa. Round of applause. Thank you. And Asadi. Yay! Round of applause, please. Elvin. Yay! Bakru. What's the role, eh? By the way, are you Italian? Are you Italian?
Yeah.
I knew it. Yeah. Okay, in the meanwhile, we have our panel discussion right now. So in the meanwhile, the stage is yours. Once again, a round of applause, please, for the next segment. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. We're really excited to be here. Good afternoon. And today we are going to be talking about coral conservation and the future of it. So let's first get started with who we are. We are Gaia One. We have been planting corals since 2021 in Indonesia, and as of this year we have expanded into Malaysia. And so today we've seen a rise in coral conservation projects all over the world. And so the question becomes, what is our goal collectively, and can we actually save coral reefs with all of the work that we're putting in? And to answer that question, we have a spectacular panel today. Can you all hear me properly? Yes? Okay, perfect. We have a spectacular panel, so we'll start from the left. Marco is actually our incredible underwater photographer, so all of the photos that you see on our social media, that's Marco. He's also the head of our diving center. He's a PADI instructor and has been in the industry for several years. Round of applause for Marco. Then we have Anger. She has been with us for a really long time. She's actually, she was at the very beginning when we started our coral project. She is a PADI instructor and the manager of our coral restoration project. Round of applause for Anger. And Alvin, last but not least, he is the chief, sorry, this is the sound, chief programs officer for Reef Check Malaysia. We're really excited to hear from him. Years of experience. I'm very excited. Round of applause, please. Okay, so we'll get started with the first question. So, Alvin, Reef Check has been in the industry doing coral restoration since 1996. That's actually born 28 years. That is quite that is quite impressive. So we're noticing that in the last couple of years, coral restoration has grown, has become very cool. And so I'm very curious to your experience and to understand the history of coral conservation. How did we get here? How is it cool? And what is the current state?
Okay, so actually Reef Check started doing surveys back in the year, right? In 1996 when they started, it was just surveys. They were monitoring the health of coral reefs around the world. Now, we in Malaysia started doing reef rehabilitation, replanting damaged reefs in 2011 after the mega bleaching event in 2010. Right? And I would say, yes, you're right. It has become more popular. It's very sexy. Everybody wants to get involved. And I think partly this is because of the amount of information that's out there today compared than in the past. Right? So I remember when I told my parents I want to do marine science, they're like, what? What's that? So what would your job be? Be like, my sister used to tease me and say, you won't have a job, you'll be a glorified fishmonger. Whereas now, people are always talking about things like this. Even in countries like Malaysia, it's popular to see about it in TV, to read about it in the papers, very, very active in social media. So I think it's just that wealth of information that's getting out to the public has created this interest, and people are also more aware of the current situation, the dire state of nature, and there's this need to want to protect what they love and what they care for. So I think that's really why it's becoming more popular today.
Good for all of us and good for the ocean then. Let's keep spreading information. So Marco, Anger, you've been planting for the last 3 years. Let's get more serious. Let's talk about the challenges. What have you seen in this process that has start you. Okay, where are we at? Why is it going slow? What can we do to speed it up? What are those challenges that you're seeing, both in Mira as well as other parts?
You want to go first or I go?
I'll go first. Ladies first.
Thank you. So I think it really depends on like what kind of like timeline we're talking about, right? So when we very first time like begin in Mira, for example, because for now like I can only put it in Mira because there is no other restoration project at that time. It was really challenging because people tend to not really get what we're doing, right? So when we first time arrive, it's really about spreading the awareness more of the works actually, and that's where we actually get more of the work once people realize what we're doing, and then we started to build a community. That's when we feel that it's getting easier because we don't feel like we're working by ourselves. If Marco wants to add on that one, that's pretty much like the first kind of like challenge I feel.
Yeah, exactly. Tackling what they said. There is more awareness now, but especially in certain area, really remote area, it's still really hard to gather this message. And for certain people, because it's, even if they're like really in strict contact with the environment, maybe they still don't understand properly. So the main challenge is really to spread this knowledge to the people of this community, because sometimes now in ADX is everybody well aware about the situation, but in Bira, that is on the ocean, close to a reef, a lot of the people are not aware of the state of the environment at the moment. So yeah, this is one of the main reasons, the main problem, main challenge that we face. Yeah, and of course, like also the increased pressure of the human population that is keep growing, and so it's going to get in the future more and more, and we need to take this in account for future projects.
It's more of the education part of it that actually still we're struggling until today. So that's one of the reasons why we feel that every single time that we're trying to have any event or we got the chance or have the space to actually talk about it, we'll talk about it.
Alvin, any challenges that you're noticing that haven't been mentioned yet?
I think one of the biggest challenges when it comes to restoring a reef, trying to rehabilitate a reef, is misunderstanding of the basic ecology, reef ecology, right? People see something online somewhere and they think, all right, I'm going to do that. So there's a lot of lack of information out there. There's a lot of interest, a lot of goodwill, but it's sometimes not based on proper science. And this can be very damaging as well. Because I've seen people put washing machines in the sea and they'll be like, I'm making an artificial reef. And tomorrow it's a microwave, then it's a TV. And there's a dude on Tioman Island who pushed his old van off the jetty and said, that's a new artificial reef. So it's sad and it's very troubling, and for me it's concerning, especially when these kind of things are made into something very marketable, and people make it about the money rather than about the reef. And we've seen this also. So this is one of my challenges, like yes, this is something that's great. It's an amazing tool that scientists have come up with over years and years of research. But this tool, it needs to be used properly in the right hands and with some basic understanding of what you're trying to achieve. Because if not, then it's going to turn around and bite us and be more of a negative impact than something good.
Very well said. So we talk among ourselves about the role of government, private corporations, and now that we have all these challenges in mind, what are very realistic, very not playing the sky, but realistic approaches that these two massive groups all over the world can do to help us push ocean conservation forward? What can they do today?
Okay. So for me, I would say, especially when it comes to government, is get people on the ground involved and then support them. Because I'm not sure how is it in Indonesia, I assume it's pretty much the same. There is a lot of interest from businesses on the ground, from local communities who want to get involved, who want to help, who want to do their part, but they're not sure how to go about doing it, right? They've got very little guidance, knowledge, so they need that kind of a support. So put in place systems where people can get in touch easily, get the information they would need, and then get the support required to carry on their work. I'll give you an easy example is, I know you started off talking about restoration and planting corals, but an example of an issue on the reefs we have on Tioman is ghost nets. We have a lot of ghost nets washing up. These are dumped by fishermen that are fishing outside the MPA, but the nets float in and they get tangled on the reef. And in the past, it was the government that would clean those nets up. But that meant it only was done when there was an event, or when they had time, extra time to come do it. But now, today, we've trained the locals on the island to go out and remove these ghost nets. So it means things get done way quicker, you don't have to wait. There's a system in place so people report the ghost nets in, the locals will go out, retrieve the net, and then send the net to the Department of Fisheries, and they will deal with the disposal of the net. So now that the system has been put in place, it works. And this problem at least is being dealt with at one level, right? So this is what is lacking in many areas, this communication between the government and the people on the ground, the support system, and the basic advice and guidance that is required by the people on the ground.
There's a pattern here around education and sharing all this information and the best practices. Under, you've been working with schools in Mira. How could government entities help push the education forward? What have you learned at the schools?
So actually, with the one in Indonesia particularly, the thing is that the government already have some awareness, but like, why do we need to do this? But it's sometimes the strategy is not quite right. So for us, we don't do plant corals and see you in 10 years, not take credit for that. It's not how it works. Actually, most of our works is putting into maintenance. So little did people understand when we're kind of like wanting to keep in check on like what's being done and all this is basically to make sure that everyone survives this process. And the one in Mira is that that's what's been happening. Sometimes like the government has this project and they kind of like a one-time thing. So you just drop a whole bunch of different artificial reefs and then leave it and say goodbye and see you next time. So what happened is that all of those, like most of the project we saw, it's failed due to like whatever is the challenge, the actual challenges when it comes to like the natures, right? So we were already started to talk with some of our local collaborator, basically our partner. So because his wife is like working as a teacher, so that's where I came in contact with them and having this class every now and then with all of his kids. And he already proposing to me to involve in the project that they're trying to set. So basically they want to have, it's almost like they have to put it in the class. So it's like 1 a week kind of things during the class about environmental awareness, especially about the ocean because they live very closely to the ocean. It's kind of sad to see the kids don't see what I saw, because it can be like it's the good thing and then the not good thing, they don't see this. So it's part of it for us now. It's like how do we move forward for it, right? And at the moment we're leaning toward that side. So there's only so much we can do, but so far we're trying to push it into like at least the local educations around the area.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Marco, the last 5 years, I mean, there's still a lot of climate change deniers, but the last 5 years have really shown us with the natural disasters, that there's really no time to waste, right? If you have your eyes wide open, you'll see that this is the time to act. It's been the time to act for the last several years, but we really cannot waste any more time. So what does the future of conservation look like? What should we all know that resources are limited. So what should we be doing? And more importantly, what should we not be doing to have the highest kind of impact?
So especially in the last few years, honestly, this year we see a massive bleaching event that is going on now in Malaysia at this moment where we're talking, and we had in Indonesia a few months ago, and Indonesia destroyed a big portion of the reef in our area. So now it's really under the eyes of everybody. By the dive can see the direction that we are going through, and so now is really the time to turn and to change and start to take action, because at the end, coral restoration is turning a minus into a zero, because we never, the nature itself should be fine. It's fine. That doesn't need to get better. But the problem is that we are destroying it. So we need to mitigate the damage that we are creating. We're not like making anything better, because nature by itself is already perfect. The problem is that we are destroying it. So we really need to start, as divers especially, but as human, to think about that our action as consequence in every aspect of our life. So, and you don't need to do coral restoration to have an impact on the environment. Your daily life can have an impact, but requires sacrifice. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't realize that not using a straw is not a sacrifice. It's just be smart. Sacrifice is like to stop doing something that you like because you know that it's bad. Okay, because like stopping using a plastic cup, you still drink your drink. You just be smart and use something that is proper. So, and of course, like as a diving industry, more and more diving operators they should start to invest or reinvest part of their profit in conservation, because at the end of the day it's also their main source of business. So if we're losing the reef, you're also losing the main source of your income. So luckily it's more and more diving centers they start to invest for restoration, or that they collaborate with the restoration project. But still it's like the minority. So this is like really important, because if the change doesn't start from us as diver, we cannot expect that like a big corporation or government are going to take the first step. We need to lead the change.
So what should we not focus on as we do conservation? What are things that, maybe not today, maybe not some platform?
The main thing is, as I said, we should do it properly and not just do it for the sake of doing it. Because I see also projects that they just, to do something, they just destroy a reef to try to create a new reef. So if we cannot do it, if we don't have the knowledge, the resource, don't do it just because you want to promote yourself or you do it for the glory. Try to collaborate with other people that have the knowledge and do it properly. Unfortunately also there is like sometimes some friction between conservation entities, and instead to everybody collaborate for the same goal, they actually competition who is doing better, who is the better technique, who has the better way of doing stuff. While at the end it's like that's not the goal. The goal is like to make the reef, and everybody has a different way. The important thing is like that we help each other, we give them back, and we share the knowledge that we create. Because sometimes, you can fail, it's fine. The important thing that you learn from your failure, to next time that you try, you can do it better. Or if you see people that they try the same thing, you can give them feedback so they're not going to fail.
I love that idea of unity, because at the end of the day, we're all working towards the same goal. And that incorporates small businesses, small to medium businesses. That is an amazing message, especially here at MIDE. Anyone else wants to add anything that we should be doing or not doing?
No, so I'll say, I'll add a bit to what you asked earlier about the future for conservation and for coral reefs. I think it's actually very promising. If I didn't, I would stop. I wouldn't work anymore in conservation because then I'm just wasting time, right? So I really think that there is a bright future, and simply it's because one of it, like you mentioned right at the start, more and more people are aware of the issues, more people are working to solve those issues, and the technology is changing as well, which is amazing, right? We are at the point of time where we not only know what are the issues, we also have the means to solve these issues, and we just need to go out and get as many people on board to solving them. So I definitely think there is a future for corals.
I love that, and I'll circle back to that question or that point. So Anger, we talk about you know, if we were millionaires, that's when we would go on vacation. But let's be real, right? What is success to you? How do we know that we have fixed the problem and we can actually take a vacation?
So I feel like as long as we're here, we are still becoming a source of problems. The only way to stop it is like when we started to be more aware of like what we are exactly doing, right? And I feel like there is no correct measurement about being success. I feel like it's that each different individual trying their best to fulfill like what's the gap in each different person what we're doing. Because for me, like we don't do things perfectly either. Like Marco said, we actually what we're doing is not about like fixing or all this. Like we're just giving back what we can, right? Like we've taken so much from the ocean, and it's only fair that we're actually giving back. So it's not about like something becoming, oh yeah, it's like here with things to do, it's awesome, or this. Yes, it makes you feel good, definitely that. But we also should remember each one of us that's in this room now, we owe it to the ocean. It's just part of it, I feel, and I think that on that measurement, I feel that it's only becoming a success if each different of us individually we can fill up the gap or each of the imperfections of like whoever's habit. Or as long as like everyone's trying their best to do it, that's a success for me. And yeah, I don't think I would take a holiday on that because it's just something that I really enjoy to do.
Sorry everyone, none of us can take vacations. Okay, so we mentioned that we're seeing, you know, conservation becoming cooler, and I love that. But that means there's a lot of new entities coming into the playing field and making changes and making impact. So I want to hear from everyone. What are some key tips, recommendations for all these new dreamers who are doing conservation on water, on land? What can you tell them? What impart your wisdom?
Okay, they asked me to go first because I'm the oldest, is it? Alright, anyway, so I would say number one, try to go and talk to the people who've been doing it for a while because you don't want to make the same mistakes, right? That when I moved to Tioman to start the project, and the first thing I did was to go talk to the people that have been there for longer than me, right? Just to know what they tried, what didn't work, what worked, because a lot of times you hear about the good stuff, the stuff that worked, but no one talks about the stuff that failed. So you don't want to repeat it, right? Number one, go talk to other people. Number two, hang in there, right? Because you do have days where you sit back and think like, why am I doing this, man? Like, it's not worth it, right? So hang in there because in the long run, it's still, you will see the product, you will see your efforts, but it takes time. So I see a lot of young ones come in, they're really on fire, but they burn out very quickly and then they leave, right? So I would say, hang in there, guys.
I guess it's because I'm the youngest one. I'll take the second place.
Quick flex.
So for me, like I know that everyone is always hesitant to take a step, thinking that it's just it meant nothing. But for me, it's not about how big is the step that you're going toward being more aware of the situation or environmentally aware or becoming part of the solutions, like we always say. I think it's not about how big is the step. It's about how much of the intention that you are putting in that. Again, like every one of us now here that can listen to me, we owe it to the ocean. So it's really on your side that when do you actually want to give a little bit of a payback to like what you already owe.
If you start something, if you plan to start something, as Alvin said, you need to keep in mind that it's not something that you can do once just because you want to fill this gap in yourself, to feel, I'm doing something. Especially coral restoration is long. It's like Vincent, the founder of Ocean Gardens, said that coral restoration is a marathon, it's not a sprint. So it's going to take time. is at the beginning maybe you don't even see the result and everything doesn't seem to work, but if you want to do it, you need to keep pushing, otherwise don't even start and just go somewhere and have somebody that's already doing it, they're going to need more your help instead to use try to start something new and abandon immediately. Also because we see in general going around for restoration there is a lot of hype at the beginning of the project, everybody wants to get involved, video, picture, Instagram, but as soon as this hype, after a few weeks, after a few months, the hype go down, and after you don't find anybody that want to go out to take care of the structure, to do the maintenance, to do all the not cool part of the project. And after this, everything get abandoned, the structure that remain in the water, and at the end, would it be better if you didn't start anything instead of just waste resource, time, and also fragments and coral for something that at the end doesn't work. So would it be better to just join someone else and help them instead to try to fulfill your ego and do something by yourself. Okay? Collaboration I think is really important in every aspect. We are like one species, we are humans, so we should try to start to act as humans together and not try to obstaculate each other just to feel better and feel superior. Yeah.
Okay, so key takeaways there are collaboration, work together, we're all working towards the same goal. Talk to others, educate yourselves, know exactly what you're getting yourself into, and then commitment, right? This is not a drop in, drop out, I'm in, I'm out, this is not a vacation. But if you find the right support system, it can be very, very rewarding. So, to wrap up, thank you so much, by the way. All of your experiences are absolutely incredible, and the work that you do every single day is allowing us to be here, to have an ocean that we can swim and dive in. So thank you. And to wrap up, I would love to ask all of you, circling back to the title of the panel, can we save the reefs?
If it's a we, not just the one on the stage, but every one of you guys do.
Yeah, I think I already said it earlier. Definitely, I think we definitely can save the reefs.
Yeah, I think we can if everybody do their job and make full sacrifice, but their commitment, and don't expect that other people eventually somebody is going to save it, so me I don't really need to do it. Like everybody need to do their part, otherwise what we're doing is not going to have so much effect.
So we can save the reef.
You.
So we have 5 minutes left. If anyone has any questions for our panelists, this is the time. And also the next 3 days, of course, because we're at our specific booths. But today you get a microphone. So please, any questions? Okay, for all of you shy people, we're going to be around this entire weekend. Thank you so much, we really appreciate it. And
Thank you so much, you guys.
Yeah, we really appreciate your support. Go ahead.
Hello?
Hi.
Can I ask about the work that you guys are doing in Bira, Indonesia, and how we can get involved? Like, you can maybe share, where we can find more info and stuff like that.
Marco, how can we get involved?
Yeah, you can get involved just by stupid, but just following us and supporting us. Follow, especially now in the time of social media, even sharing a story, sharing a reel about conservation can have a huge impact because can reach people that otherwise they don't have any contact with this type of plant. So conservation project, they always need funding. So even a small amount can mean a lot for a project in a remote area and continue this work.
Yeah, so for Gaia 1, it means diving with us. It means taking some of our programs, which are available both in Bira, Indonesia, as well as in Malaysia. if you have any more questions, if you want to get involved, do come to us and ask that. We have a lot of options. Alvin, how do we get involved with Reef Check?
So for divers, the main way would be to join our surveys, right? There's a course where you learn how to do the Reef Check survey, and then we use volunteers. We cover over 300 sites across the country. Each survey needs 5 divers. There's only 20 Reef Check staff in the country, so there's no way we can do it without these volunteers that work with us. But we have to go through this training beforehand because the data collected from these surveys get fed back to the government departments, to the local universities, and to the global coral reef monitoring network, right? So if you are a diver and you want to get involved, that would be the best way to help out in Reef Check.
Thank you so much. Thank you for all the wisdom and everyone for your support here today. Hopefully we'll get to see you at our booth. And that's it for us today.
Okay, thank you, Louisa, and thank you to the rest of the speakers on that segment, yeah?